word of the Lord is this: when they approach another species, they say to them, "You will be assimilated." Resistance is futile. And of course, to assimilate means to make the same. And so the Borg go out and they bring other cultures into themselves, and they make everyone the same, and they are incredibly powerful and irresistible in their efforts to make everyone alike. Now, you don't have to be a Star Trek fan. It's just a little jumping off point for the concept of assimilation. Assimilation is something which occurs in human culture all the time. Wherever there is a large and powerful culture, there is an irresistible temptation for it to absorb and assimilate the smaller cultures around it so that everyone becomes the same. That's the story of how the Roman Empire grew. As the Roman Empire moved out from Rome into other nations, it forced upon everyone else Roman culture, language, ways of living, ways of thinking, and they became huge. That's the way that the British Empire grew, and again it was driven by this deep feeling, wouldn't it be nice if everyone was just the same as us and we could all be assimilated? And in case you think that secular society alone is guilty of assimilation, the church has a terrible history of trying to assimilate smaller cultures. You may have noticed in the news, although I think you have to dig really deep, that last Friday, July the 23rd, 2010, the World Lutheran Federation, which is meeting in Germany at this time, adopted an apology to the Mennonites for their attempts to assimilate the Mennonites in the 16th century. And of course, when the church was growing like that, they would give different people an option. You can either be assimilated, or you can be killed. It's kind of a simple option, really. The Mennonites did not resist, but also they would not compromise their beliefs. As a result of that, through the 16th century, under the guidance of the Lutheran Church, tens of thousands of Mennonites were burned at the stake. Now that's one group of Christians persecuting another group of Christians. And lest you think I'm using that illustration because it is simply timely, it happened just 2 days ago, I mean the apology happened 2 days ago, or if you think I'm using that illustration to point out what terrible people the Lutherans are, God have mercy on my soul. It just so happens that the Lutherans and the Mennonites had their origin much in the same place at the same time. Every religious group, sensing that it was in a state of growth, became arrogant and decided that it could assimilate the people around it or else destroy them. The Presbyterians have just as dark a history of assimilation in Scotland as the Lutherans had with the Mennonites in Germany. Many people in Great Britain and Europe suffering persecution because they refused to be assimilated came to the New World. But even here, wherever the church was strong, it said, we are right. Our way is the only way. We can assimilate you or we can destroy you. Take your choice. And as a result, assimilation of religious minorities or the consequent persecution was common throughout the development and history of North America. The Puritans killed the Quakers by the thousands because the Quakers, like the Mennonites, believed in adult